everyone, welcome back to another studio diary. I'm starting this video off with a big thank you for all the kind and positive comments on my last studio diary. A lot of you, I'm so grateful for you all. You are very kind and positive and you have lots of words of encouragement, and I just want you to know that I do read every one of them. I can't always reply to them as I'm never quite sure how to put my thoughts into words and my brain kind of hits a block, but I do want you to know that I appreciate everyone and I am very grateful for them, and I do read them all, so thank you very much. So on the 26th of April, me and my parents went to Diaries, which is a garden centre just about half an hour from us, and I really took this opportunity to get some good reference of all these beautiful plants that were growing, especially indoor ones and these that are on the screen right now. I really can't wait to incorporate them into a future drawing or something. And just in general, I've tried to be more aware of my surroundings, looking for inspiration all over. I did notice, I think I've said this before, that I've started doing this, but it's so easy to go to a place and just see it as it is, a garden centre, and not see all the cool little things that are in that area. For example, in Diaries there are all these old vehicles and retro vehicles. In fact, there's actually a tank and a boat and a safari truck right outside the garden centre, and it's just, you see it so often that you never really take notice of it. So I decided to get some really good reference pictures of these because I would love to draw stuff like this. It just looks really interesting with all the textures and curves and shapes of it all, so I am just looking for reference constantly. But of course you can't go to a garden centre without buying plants, so we actually bought loads for the garden. I especially concentrated on getting bee friendly flowers, as I'm trying to help the bee population a little bit at a time by planting flowers that they like. We also got some lovely house plants, a maidenhair fern which is quite a diva to look after. And then for my bedroom I actually got myself this lovely palm that is doing very well. So a couple of days later I got all my plants planted. I also bought some sweet corn as well, so hopefully that's going to grow. It's doing very well at the minute, it's grown very tall. And I've promised that I would show my little allotment and my shed, so here are some little clips of it. I still want to wait till it's really bustling with foliage and plants and vegetables before I show all of it, so I hope you'll enjoy these little previews. And yes, I made sure to paint it the brightest blue I could possibly find. It stands out very well on the allotment. So I said I would show the palette I made before this one, and this is the one I first made. This was a cheap watercolour set from Tiger, or Flying Tiger shop. It was £5 and it did come with watercolours, but obviously they weren't very pigmented, so I decided to take the little boxes out and put my own colours in, and it didn't work quite well. This palette is quite hard to open and it kind of rocks when you try and use the water well. I'll still use this because it's good for home and using all my colours, but as you can see some of the paint has already come out of the little squares. I did label all these though, which was helpful, but obviously it didn't work out too well, and obviously it's a lot bigger, so not as pocket sized as I wanted. Whereas this one obviously is actually much more pocket sized and better for travelling. It's easier to open, and I did take your suggestions of making sure this could come out so I could wash it, because somebody said if I glued this down I wouldn't be able to wash it when it got dirty. So yeah, this is obviously a lot better for putting in my pocket and so much easier to take with me. I'll still use the Tiger one. It's good for home use at least. because I'm really excited about getting into more plein air drawing and drawing outside, so I've actually got my sketchbooks prepared. I've kind of labelled them and just put some nice decorative tape down the side. I've already started sticking stuff in from travels and everything. And then I do have a bigger one for bigger drawings, and again I've labelled that one and just put some decorative tape. I'm deciding not to put any stickers on these because if I'm travelling, these are going to probably be moved around a lot and might suffer a good beating, so if I put stickers on them they might come off or be torn, so I'm going to leave them as they are. So yeah, I'm quite excited to get out and using these more and just drawing outside in general. I do love drawing on the computer though. I've actually been really enjoying drawing digitally. I have two that I'm really proud of. One is a quick illustration of myself as a gym leader persona. I think that was going around on Twitter quite a while ago. And I'm really happy with the inking on it. I found a new Photoshop brush to ink with and I'm just happy with the overall look of it. And the second drawing that I did was, sadly, it was a promotional image for a hiatus for my webcomic. I am so happy with the drawing itself though. That's what I want to do. That's how I want to make the comic look. I'm so excited to get back to work on my comic, but sadly I have had to put it on a hiatus because I just didn't know where I was going. I feel like I haven't made enough planning. I feel there's a very fine balance between planning too much and not planning enough, and that's kind of where I fell. So I think I'm going to be making some live streams where I work on my comic and do some world building and everything. As soon as I put it on a break, I'm really excited to work on it again. I've already had some really good breakthroughs with the story, so hopefully that is something I can do in the future. So on the 3rd of May, me and my dad took a trip to Cambridge to visit the Cambridge Botanical Gardens, or Botanic Gardens. I remember being told off for saying it wrong by the bus driver, so hopefully one of those names is right. Again, it was a place that was so inspiring with all the beautiful flowers and trees and pathways. It's a place they've done up really nicely, even though it's not actually that big. One of my favourite parts was actually the rockery where they allowed you to actually walk up the rocks so you could get some really good views from the top. It was very nicely done with beautiful alpines and overlooking a very beautiful little pond with all geese and ducks swimming about. The rockery was definitely my favourite part, just being able to climb and walk around all these secret little pathways that dipped up and down. I just really enjoy that kind of stuff. Another part that I always enjoy is the hothouse in any botanical garden. I especially love when the buildings look very old. I think they are from Victorian times. I could be wrong though. I'm not an expert on this kind of thing, but I loved how they did it inside. It was this long walkway that went into different rooms that had different temperatures, so one room would be very hot and the next was actually very cool, as it was kind of representing a mountainside with the atmosphere. Again, the trees, just all these different leaves and textures is just something I want to incorporate into my own drawings, and I did get a lot of inspiration from this trip. So I'm definitely going to try and make drawing outside more of a habit and definitely drawing in public. I I do find it a bit scary as I'm a bit worried about people watching or coming up to me and asking questions, especially if I don't know what I'm doing. I did manage to find a spot outside to draw, somewhere that wasn't too crowded, and I sat down on the grass and drew one of the hot houses that I could see. It was a very interesting building. Again, all those straight lines and the perspective, it's very hard to pin down, but I was very happy with the end result. Sadly though, I found out the hard way that Tiger sketchbooks are not very kind to watercolour, as the water just absorbed into the paper. Thankfully it didn't ruin the drawing. I still managed to make it look very nice, and I am very happy with the pencil sketch. So after that we had a quick look around the gift shop. Again, I was just looking for inspiring things. I did like the display that they had with all those plants. I also thought these posters were very nice too, with those old style botanical illustrations. So after discovering that my sketchbook wasn't going to hold up with watercolour, we actually took a trip into town to find Tyndall's, which is a really nice art shop. Sadly, my phone battery died at this point, so I couldn't record it all and get, all the displays of all the lovely paints and pencils, but I did manage to get a nice sketchbook there that would handle watercolour, so I was quite happy in the end. So these were the things I got from Tyndall's. I got myself some proper watercolour paper, which I'm very excited to use. I've been using mixed media paper for a lot of my paintings, and I realised I kind of want to be more daring with my watercolour and do different methods, so I thought I would buy myself some really nice paper. The nice thing about this is it's actually kind of gummed on all the sides, so it doesn't need me to stretch it or hold it down in place with tape, which is nice because that's what I struggled with my last painting. So it's really nice. As you can see, I've already got like a drawing planned, but I won't show you that just yet. Next up, I got myself a little travel sketchbook that would hold watercolour nicely. I've labelled it, I've just put like a nice tape stripe down the side. By the way, this tape is from Flying Tiger as well. I really love the pattern on that, and I think it just adds something special to these kind of sketchbooks. So again, I haven't done anything in this yet, but I'll be putting it in the van, so I've always got it with me. Next up might be a bit horrible in a way. It's the squirrel hair brush. I've seen a couple of people use these and they look so nice, and I have tried it. It is actually lovely to use. I do feel bad it's squirrel hair and not synthetic. I feel like there's something quite mean. It is a lovely brush and it holds water so nicely. I really like that. It was expensive as well. That was probably one of the most expensive things I bought at Tyndall's, but it was definitely worth it. Next up, I just got another polychromos coloured pencil for my collection because I don't really have any blues or greens that are quite bright, so I just treated myself to that nice colour. I got some gum strip sealing tape. I'm not actually quite sure how this works. I thought this was to hold your drawing paper down or your paint paper while you drew, and I was hoping it wouldn't rip it. I heard this sticks down really tightly so you can't get it off the paper, so I'm not quite sure what to do with it, and it is just flying apart. And then the last thing, I think this is the last thing, I just bought myself a couple of Faber-Castell Pitt Artist pens in small. I forgot how much I love these inking pens. These used to be my absolute favourite when I was younger, and I kind of forgot how much I liked using them, so I've just bought myself a load of them. So with wanting to get out of the house more, me and my dad thought it would be good motivation to join the National Trust, which, if you don't know what the National Trust is, it's a thing in Britain where it's about conservating old landscape gardens, nature reserves, historic places and old houses and halls. So the money from your membership goes to preserving that, and in exchange you will get kind of free entry to a lot of places where you would have had to pay otherwise. You're still technically paying by paying the membership fee, but if you visit a lot of places you might end up saving a lot more money that way. But anyway, we decided to join it because we wanted more places to go out to and more places to explore and go for nice walks and everything, because there are some absolutely beautiful places. And our first choice was Sheringham Park, and I can say it is so beautiful there. It's almost fantasy-like once you get into the actual park part of the woods, as nearly every single tree is either a rhododendron or an azalea, if I'm pronouncing those flowers right. There are whole walkways just filled with flowers, and it is truly beautiful. And another lovely thing is it's actually near the coast, so there would be some gaps in the woods or through the trees, and you'd actually be able to see the coast and the ocean, and it ended up being a beautiful day, so we had a lovely time there. Sadly, I was a bit too tired to draw while we were there. I ended up taking lots of reference pictures and ended up drawing this at home, which I still think that counts as a plain air drawing. It's just a shame I didn't do it on the day, but it's a little bit cheaty, but never mind. So I am actually drawing a rhododendron in this book. Again, it's the one that doesn't handle watercolour, the Tiger sketchbook. I decided to give it one more go, see if I could add watercolour without it really soaking into the paper, and it just barely managed it. I really don't think I should put watercolour in it. I probably will do in future still. I haven't learnt my lesson, but I think the drawing came out very nice, especially later on when I add more detail. I am using my squirrel hairbrush here, and I can say it paints like a dream. It is so lovely to get the colour onto that brush and just lay it down. Sheringham Park is definitely a place of inspiration and beauty. I couldn't believe just how many different colours of rhododendrons there were. Although I think some of them were azaleas, it's kind of hard to tell. They do look very similar in their petal pattern. There was even this sort of ladder or boardwalk, I'm not quite sure what you'd call it, a tree house even, but it was basically this little platform in the trees where you could go up and look all over the landscape, and it was really amazing. You could see all the rhododendrons that were going to come out and all the buds and those that were already out. As for the supplies that I'm using for this drawing, I'm obviously using the Flying Tiger sketchbook, even though I shouldn't. That watercolour really doesn't mix well with that paper. Of course I'm using Winsor & Newton watercolours. I'm using the colours Quin Credone Red. I think I got it right that time, and then just maybe a sap green that's in the travel set. No, it's actually, it will probably be Viridian Hue or Emerald Green that I'm using for those. And then I am using a sort of off-brand brush pen, or maybe it's not, it's called Degeco for the red. And then for the leaves I used Zig double-ended twin graphic markers in green, and then I used another blue in that Degeco brand. I do really like these brush pens. I find them very nice and simple to use. They get a very nice clean line as well, and I find it very good for quick drawings like this, as I think this only took me about 15 minutes overall, which is kind of fast for me. I'm usually one to really over detail drawings sometimes, I think, and then I think that I haven't done enough, so I did have a kind of a battle deciding whether I should add more detail or kind of leave it as more of a loose drawing, and I'm glad I kind of went with the latter because I feel it kind of gets that atmosphere or vibe of being a very quick kind of lively drawing, as that's what I'm trying to get more lively into my work. It's funny because as I'm editing all this footage, I realised how much of it is actually plants and going out to plant places. I feel I should rename myself to like the floral artist or something. I promise this isn't becoming a gardening channel, it will remain artwork, but I just find nature so inspiring. And another reason for me wanting to get out a lot more is because I have been very worried about the time that I spend at a screen. Everything is done at the screen, and I think that's why I don't do a lot of digital art, even though I really like it. I feel all this screen time is probably really bad for my eyes, as I already need glasses and I can't see very clearly at a distance. So I have been worried about that, and that's why I kind of choose to use traditional art more than digital. And just getting out in general, I hope the oxygen and fresh air will do my sight good. It's a hard balance of trying to be healthy and getting out while still managing to be creative and make stuff that can go online. I do want to try and get into like a weekly habit of at least posting a drawing once a week, or even a sketch. I feel like that's probably a good schedule to start with, and obviously in future I kind of want to push myself more to have possibly videos twice a week, updating my webcomic, having my Instagram with lots of drawings on it, but it's just finding that time and trying to find the balance, and yeah, it's difficult. I'm sure I'll get there eventually. I have felt a lot better than I have in previous months. Again, I think it is because of getting out and because of the positivity I have received from everyone. I get such wonderful comments and it really does inspire me. But I did want to let you know that I am feeling better and I don't just come on YouTube to complain or kind of get sympathy or anything. I'm not trying to do that. I suppose I'm just trying to share the real experience with you, as it's easy to kind of cover up how you feel and say, oh no, I'm fine, everything's good, everything's perfect, look at my creative production line, and it doesn't always go that way. But I also want to let you know when I am feeling good and when I am feeling happy, and today is definitely one of those days. And I suppose after realising that, I can't stress how important it is to get out. I think that really does contribute to your well-being. You know, it's not the cure-all to everything, but it helps, you know, because we weren't made to sit at a computer for hours and hours on end, even though we all do it. We're all guilty of doing that. So after our visit to Sheringham Park, we did drive down to the coast to have a look at the seaside and the beach, because it has been a very long time since we've seen the sea. And interesting enough, there was this really massive mural of all prehistoric creatures on the wall of the beach, which was really interesting. I really liked it, so I took some pictures of it. So something else I got recently is actually some clip-on lenses for my phone, which I'm very excited to use. I've had a little play with them and seen what they're like, and they are very nice quality. They were £12. I do have the link in my description if you'd like to check these out. And they come with a super macro lens, a fisheye lens and a wide angle lens, which the wide angle lens is definitely my favourite. They feel nice and heavy as well, and they seem very well made. Like, the quality of the pictures and the videos that I filmed with these seemed very nice and crisp and clear. It's a little more blurry on the front facing camera, but other than that these are really nice, and I've already had some fun with some photographs with them. I would definitely recommend these, and they are very good for the price, as I've seen some and some of them are very expensive. So I think I'm going to end this studio diary here. The one last thing I wanted to show you were these really cool instant cameras. I don't know what it is about these, but I just really like them and I would love to own one, but sadly I don't think that's going to happen. So my alternative is to just draw my characters with the things that I want to own. So you can see here that I have the sketch planned out, and hopefully this will be the next painting that you see. I'm trying something really different with it, where I don't line it, I just have sort of a coloured pencil outline, and I'm really excited to do this. And it is on the new watercolour paper, so I'm super excited to try that out. So I just want to say thank you again for watching. I do hope you enjoyed this. I do try and put a lot more effort into these types of videos now, and I hope it does show and it's not just me bragging. I don't want to come across that I'm bragging. So I do have some planning to do, I have some drawing to do, so I will see you all next time. Bye bye!